Good morning. I am Debbie McKeever, founder and owner of Strong and Healthy Temple, a virtual holistic health and wellness coaching practice where we focus on helping clients to achieve transformation by shifting their mindsets. It's a nice day out today. It finally feels like fall again. For the first few days of November, it actually felt like winter. So I'm glad that it's warmed up again, at least for this week. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about forgiveness. And if you've, lived for some amount of time, if you're, an adult or, even if you're, a teenager or whatever, I know you've probably heard by now the importance of forgiving and forgiving other people and not harboring ill feelings against people and the dangers of harboring ill feelings against others. But I wanted to talk about self forgiveness and forgiving oneself. It's been my own personal experience, as well as the experience of others, that probably the hardest person that it is to forgive is yourself. And a lot of times we don't even think about it. We just think about forgiving other people and moving on, and we really don't think about the importance of forgiving ourselves. And forgiveness is really, it's a heavy thing. And I know a lot of people say, well, you block your blessings when you don't forgive, and that's part of it. But also you can cause physical harm to yourself, because negative emotions actually affect your organs, thereby affecting your physical health. And I know you've heard the saying that not forgiving someone is like drinking poison and hoping that the other person is going to die. Well, also forgiving yourself is like, it's almost like drinking a slow type poison. I remember seeing, it's probably about 20 years ago, it was a long time. I saw on Forensic Files where this guy was putting trace amounts of antifreeze in his wife's food so that he could kill her slowly. So that's how negative emotions work, and that's how it is when we don't forgive ourselves. It's like those trace amounts of poison, because we don't even realize that it's ourselves that we haven't forgiven. And I'll use myself as an example. You've heard me bring up my ex and the horrible relationship I experienced with him quite a few times, but I wanted to use that as an example, because once I was done with that relationship, I forgave him and I moved on. But years down, I noticed that I was experiencing, these trapped emotions that was stopping me, from receiving, was messing with me, mentally and spiritually, and, just really kind of blocking things in my life. And I thought, gosh, I know that I've forgiven him, and moved on. And so, I really just, took time to sit with myself and examine. And, I really felt, that I had sincerely forgiven him and moved on. So what I did was I took like this notebook, and I started writing down, like everybody that I thought had wronged me in some way, over the course of my life. And I started to examine whether or not I have really, forgiven these people and moved on from it. And I want to insert here that, and I've talked about this before, that forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to keep dealing with the person. You can forgive somebody and, love them from a distance. You can just move on. Like, you don't have to deal with them just because you forgive them. But anyway, I knew that I had forgiven all these people, so I was trying to figure out, who or what, had I not forgiven. And to make a long story short, the realization that the person that I had not forgiven was myself, finally dawned on me. It came up in my spirit that I was the one that I hadn't forgiven. And I thought, initially, like, why would I be mad with me? Like, what did I do to myself? And I think a lot of times it's because we're so hard on ourselves. We judge ourselves, more harshly, than anyone else will ever judge us, or then we judge other people or whatever. We're our own, worst critic, and that's in anything. And I realized that I had been judging myself, harshly, for making what I felt like was the worst decision of my life. And so what I was doing was I was, taking in, allegorically trace amounts of that antifreeze, where I was slowly but surely, drinking that poison, because I really had not forgiven myself, and I had come down hard on myself because I felt like, I was such an intelligent person and such an intuitive person. How could I make such a bad decision? And part of that was I didn't listen to my own intuition. I went against my intuition, listening to other people and letting other people talk me into, oh, you need to lower your standards, and oh, he's such a nice guy, and oh, stop being so picky, all the things, that you hear from other people. And I had gone against my own better judgment, and I was really like, mad at myself, for making that what I felt like was the worst decision of my life, and I hadn't forgiven myself. So I really had to take the time to, make peace with myself. And a lot of times that's what it really is, when we think that we haven't let go of things that we're feeling towards other people. When you dig deep enough, you'll find that there's probably like shame around your own decisions. When you dig deep down, you'll find out that the person that you really have not forgiven is yourself. So I'm not going to say it's just as important, it's probably more important to, forgive ourselves, because once we forgive ourselves, then we can, forgive others more easily. It's just like loving yourself. You can't really truly love other people until you love yourself. It's the same thing with forgiveness and everything else. We have to let go of that self judgment and that self-criticism, and really make peace with the fact that we're not perfect. I've talked about this before, but we're all perfectly flawed. There's nobody out there who's never made a mistake. Just learn from the mistake and move on. Like, don't let, yourself get stressed out because you feel like you have made some error, or you're repeating errors or whatever. Just, get counseling, or whatever it is that you need, if you feel like you can't do it on your own. But it's truly important to release those trapped emotions, that you feel against yourself as well as other people. So anyway, that is a wrap. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon to receive notifications of when I release new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and make it a fantastic day and week.